Good evening, bold adventurers. Welcome to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Shall we contemplate further on the intricacies of international espionage and the anomaly which is known as the Chinese economy? Yes, I think we shall. China buys Hummer from General Motors. First of all, if the Chinese government is communist and they run all the large corporations essentially, then if the Bank of China buys American bonds, could it be possibly that since America allegedly owes the Chinese so much money, if they are holding so much of our debt, which during the '08 campaign I heard both candidates, or all candidates, or most candidates, or some candidates are quoting the amount of this debt to be $500 billion. Recently, within the last few weeks, I heard either the king or his top economic advisors, Prince Timothy Geithner or Prince Ben Bernanke, or some other highly situated prince, czar, or special master who serves at the pleasure of our dear leader, inform the proletariat, which is you and me, that the debt was $1.2 trillion, and now I hear the lovely robot women of the media quoting it as being about $800 billion, and that, I notice, I have heard that figure since after China was awarded the Hummer wing of General Motors. So I'm thinking maybe it was just a straight-up trade. You know, they just give them the whole company in place of gold or cash. The main thing China seems to get out of this deal, the most important, is the fact that a whole entire assembly line consisting of, all phases, start to finish, of the rapid production of a high-tech light combat vehicle of the American manufacture and status and capabilities and requirements, which are which are probably more rigid than most nations' military requirements would be, seeing that they would probably undergo a heavier use. Say what you will about the reasons for the government buyout. The bailout of General Motors and essentially handing it over to the UAW to further squeeze the blood out of it so they could just tear the carcass apart amongst themselves and, go off in their merry directions. Some say it is because General Motors did not live up to the deal they made with the UAW, and so the great equalizer, and he who is the hero of the masses, Barack Hussein, the 44th Pharaoh, he who must be obeyed, peace be upon him. Some say General Motors needed to be dealt with because they made crappy cars. They had to be punished for doing so. If their cars are so crappy, then how have 4,000 plus dealerships managed to flourish, at least up until now? Whatever the reason, it's beside my point. The Chinese have just bought a major component of the military-industrial complex of the United States of America and feathered their nest further, stolen our business, international sales. They'll be selling these things to whoever used to buy them from us, the Filipinos and the Mexicans and who else. And they have weakened American capacity to resupply itself with light combat vehicles. We'll have to come up with something new. I know we do have something new in light of the Iraq War, where it was a big political strategy of the Democrats to make a big deal about the Hummers being insufficiently armored, and now they have some replacement, which is probably a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to transport. and probably not entirely practical, but it's being used and applied in more than enough, probably in an overabundance of different situations where it is not needed or won't even fit, just because to serve the political ends of our wise leaders that we have so unwisely placed in our leadership. The Chinese have also gained insight into American ingenuity. They can read our minds, and they can look into our eyes and see our souls by examining our whole assembly line of the Hummer, and get a solid grip of the best, an understanding of the best mass production and precision automotive assembly equipment that there is known to mankind, and applied on a military level to a very rugged vehicle, not to mention the networks and contacts that they have gained from support original equipment manufacturers of, everything from tires to bearings to bushings, all components, transmissions, axles, who knows, windows, glass, etc., upholstery, furniture, you know what I mean, the seats, filters and whatnot, Yeah, and that could also logistically let them in the back door or the side door of the United States of America by means of needing to trade with us these components. Whether, they set up an infrastructure and logistics where they come get it or we deliver it to them, it's going to be a breach of security. And in the end, in much the same way as the enemies of the United States always seem to carry AK-47s in the combat zones of the past and present, and probably will in the future, now you are bound to see them riding around in Hummers also. Armed groups like, the guys in Somalia who used to drive around in a rusty little old Japanese pickup truck, probably still do, but they'll be getting Hummers now, with no doubt. The Taliban, the Al-Qaeda, other terrorist interests all across Africa, the banana publics of Central America, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Ecuador, and now possibly Honduras. And that, it's going to ultimately bite us in the butt. America's chickens coming home to roost. Now the President and his advisors have certainly looked into these possibilities, I have no doubt, because they're such brilliant men all. And seeing that the President is the de facto chief executive of General Motors Corporation and has still decided to approve of this sale of Hummer to the Chinese, it just seems suspicious to me, and it goes to show more that you have to wonder, is he really trying to fix things? Because, it's not what you say, it's what you do. And thank you for listening.